Hello, you mystical millennia magicians. And thank you to Christian Tala, 6207 for that malt mention. And by the way, I started to jumble up a couple of malt mentions together there, so I'm going to restate that malt mention just for clarity, just for the record. It is Malt Millennia Magicians. That's what it is, Malt Millennia Magicians. Thank you, Christian. Here we go. I'll put a wee pen line through it so I don't repeat it. Again, that's the malt mention done and dusted. Welcome, whisky fans. I'm Ralphie in the bothy, somewhere, not anywhere, but somewhere in the Irish Sea. And I am bringing you a reviews extras, extra content, extra opinion, extra perspective, extra stuff from the bothy in Ralphie Review 1020 extras, and it relates to Rampur single malt from the city of Rampur in North India, right, in the foothills of the Himalayas. And in these mountainous areas, in the foothills, it's not particularly mountainous, not compared to Bhutan and Tibet, but it's really quite hilly, and it's also quite green. You get a lot of tea from this region, and the region is Uttar Pradesh. Did I pronounce that properly? Pradesh. I think I did, yes. Uttar Pradesh. And it's an excellent whisky, actually. When I was reviewing this, when I was getting my palate around this, I was looking for certain signs. And I'm just going to share this with you. It came on the British market in 2023. There was no fanfare, no celebrity tastings, no big marketing push. It was all very modest. And it reminded me of a previous brand of Indian whiskey which arrived many years ago in the UK, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was called Amrut, right? And Amrut showed me how good Indian whiskey could be. And at a whiskey festival, I spent a little bit of time talking to the brand ambassador from Amrut Distillery, who was standing by himself on a quieter table right at the end of the hall at the whiskey festival, while everybody was clustering around the usual suspects. That Springbank stand, the Scotch Malt Whisky Society stand, the fashionable stuff, that gets people's attention. And I'm always, when I'm at a whisky festival, I'm on the lookout for the distilleries that are not getting the attention, because whisky drinkers are quite conservative, not politically, but institutionally conservative in their palate, in their nose, and in their taste. And people want the reminder and the renewal of familiar smells and tastes, because it's human nature. When you've got Indian whiskey, that gets challenged in the same way that Brazilian whiskey challenges it and Australian whiskey challenges it. Whiskies that come from hotter climates, from elsewhere on the planet, they tend to get a puzzled frown initially from the indigenous whiskey drinkers in Scotland, who partly fear the competition and partly still hold on to this outrageous conceit that Scotch whisky's the best whisky in the world, and why would you bother with anything else? Well, attitudes are changing fast, and justifiably so, as it should be. I found this Rampur Asava to be probably one of the most original, quality, interesting and satisfying bottles of whiskey I have had in over a year, because it's different. Soon as I smelled it, The quality was there. The different flavours in the nose coming through, the softness of the sensation range, the suppressedness, bitters and sours. This is a different style of whisky, very different, and that's what's important to me. It gives me something different for my palate. It gives me a different experience of a different authenticity while retaining the actual authenticity of quality ingredients, quality production, quality maturation in quality casks, rendering, of course, quality results. Shortly after I reviewed another Indian whisky in 2023 called Indri Trini, I was contacted by the proprietor of a large curry house chain in Birmingham and the centre of England. And he said, "Ralphie, we're really interested in your review. I hope you don't mind. One of our customers passed on your details. And what do you recommend as regards Indian whisky? Should we stock it in our restaurants?" Now, what you need to know is in Britain is the curry capital of Europe. Now, it's a different style of curries to Indian curries. This is Western European curries, and Western Europeans can't get enough of them. It's one of the most authentic cultural bridge building vehicles are food and drink. And I know that next time I go to Glasgow, I'll be meeting friends and we'll be going to a curry house called the Ashoka, right? And they do great curries. They do Madras, Vindaloos. They do the creamy ones, the kormas. I love the kormas. I'm not big in real heavy curry flavours, but I just enjoy the fact that it's different, with the different styles of rice, the different styles of naan bread, the different pickles and all the rest of it you get with it. Folk love it. So if you're trying to introduce an Indian whisky into Britain, where's the best place to find it? Where else but in a restaurant that's serving Indian food? So I recommended, along with the other well-known Indian whisky brands, I recommended they get a bottle of Rampur, a Sava. And this was the first bottle that get emptied in one of the restaurants. Because they started with one of the restaurants, they had the series just to see how it would go, and it absolutely flew off the shelf. If people were to see Indian whisky in a specialist bottle shop, it would be seen as exotic. But to see Indian whisky in a curry house is exactly the place you would expect to see it. And therefore, it's a major way of kind of building bridges of acceptability and awareness and understanding. Is sure, if you have this with a curry, you're not going to taste much of the whisky. However, if this is being served as it was before the curry, that's different. People are coming in, they've had a few drinks anyway. While you're waiting for your curry to arrive, here, try a wee sample of this Rampur Sava or this Indri Trini. And people are going, oh, hang about, we're not expecting this, right? And have a wee nose and a wee taste. I say, by the way, that's really nice. I'm going to buy a bottle. Where can I buy a bottle? Not a problem. Just go online and do a quick search. You'll soon find it. Modern times, you see, different strategies. It's not that long ago that non-Scotch whiskies, English whisky, even Irish whisky, would be frowned upon and shunned in Scotland because of partisan, indigenous, cultural reasons. But we're now in a global village now, and attitudes are seriously changing, and doing so in a short space of time. And that I find to be quite exciting. As much as I enjoy Scotch whisky, I really enjoy, to keep me interested, to keep my palate fresh, to keep my channel buzzing. I can't go out and just buy another bottle of Glenlivet and try and review it for you and tell you how great it is when the presentation's been dumbed down the way it is. I can't do that. You'd spot that it was fake. I've got to be, I know I'm going to get less views in this video, but I don't care. I just want to really sing the praises for this. It's been a really good whisky, so it's that you're aware of it. And when you're in a whisky shop, a specialist shop, or in a curry house in Birmingham, right, enjoying a curry, and you see that up behind the bar, you'll get your mobile device out. You'll do a quick searching on YouTube, because you don't want to be reading stuff. You just want to see a short video. And you'll find this video. Good. It's why I'm here. To share my journey with you, to enrich your journey. Now, what else can I add? It's modern times, you see. And in modern times, things move more quickly. It's not that long ago, in the early 2000s, it would take years for a brand to establish its reputation. Brands like Lagavulin, Springbank, Macallan, not a good example. It took years to establish them, and then they held on to them, and then they got used to them, and then they plundered them. Yeah, it happens. It's real life. I have to say, in defence of Springbank, though, they have remained truly authentic. You can go out and you can get a very, very good bottle of Springbank, if you can find it, such as the demand. But you'll easily find a bottle of Lagavulin. There's plenty of out there sitting in shelf. And Macallan, there's plenty sitting in shelves. Because reputations can be lost as well as gained. And Macallan is losing its reputation amongst the high street drinkers, because it's now a luxury brand for a different market, and the ordinary whisky drinkers, frankly, do not matter. And that creates space. It makes room as attitudes shift, as things morph, that new distilleries from different parts of the world, they appear, and they come on our radar, and we're curious. We want to know, what's it like? So, with no point in buying the magazines, no point in buying a newspaper, that won't tell you anything. They're just selling you stuff and gaslighting you and misdirecting you. I mean, you probably get it in your feed. I get it in my feed. Oh, in the Gentleman's magazine and the Forbes magazine and all these legacy magazines, and they tell you the top best Scotch whiskies in the world, and it's the same old guff. The cliches. Honestly, who on earth invests in magazines these days? They're so out of touch, so out of date. It's all bought and paid for, bland porridge narrative. And if you're even seen taking these magazine articles seriously, or newspaper articles seriously, you're considered a loser. It's online is where it's happening. And I've been saying this a few times recently, because I can see the way things are changing and how it's affecting distilleries, including Rampur Distillery, how they're gaining traction, getting attention. They launched last year in 2023. The first batch didn't last very long in the market, because it was very competitively priced at £42 a bottle. This isn't like a Japanese whisky that comes in, non-age statement, £150 a bottle, and you're getting something which is frankly bland, and you don't even know if it's actually Japanese whisky at all. There's people out there in the whisky scene who want to be the first to know about something, and this is where Rampur, virtually no marketing, it really pressed the button very, very well. Guerrilla marketing, it's called. Stealth marketing. Look at Ardnamurchan. They're doing a really good job at stealth marketing now. So this bottle was £42. A year later, it is £70 a bottle, right? But that's still good. That's still a reasonable price for the quality of the experience, which is excellent. It's a really well-made whisky. It's better made than a number of Scotch single malts. You're not going to hear that many places. And I'm saying that because I care about Scotch single malt, but there's some distilleries that really need to up their game. Seriously. It's getting embarrassing. I have to say it. There's other versions of Rampur arrived in the market. There's Sangram or Sangam, right? It's bottled at 43%. Costs you £55. Then there's the double cask version, again like the Asava. It's bottled at 45%, but it'll cost you £62. And then there's the 2023 Select. Now, here we have already, you can see Rampur have looked at Kavalan at Taiwan, another highly desirable global whisky brand, and they've picked up a few tips. They are date stamping their high-end, better quality whiskies with the year of bottling, 2023 Select. Bottled at 43%, it should be at 46%. I'm just saying, just sharing my experience. But it's at 43% and it'll cost you £85 a bottle. And my conclusion to saying this is quite simple. When new brands arrive on the global market that we've never seen before, the first thing we should acknowledge is it's highly likely they are giving the best version of what they produce, because the quality needs to be there to get traction, to get feedback, and to create demand. Rampur have done this very, very well. It'll be interesting to see how they maintain the quality into the future. I think they'll do a good job because the distillery's been on the go for a long time. They've got plenty of experience, roughly 75 years of experience. Also, when the brands do start to get new brands, when people do start to talk about them, that's then that the price creeps up. Now, the price may be directed by the distillery, but more often than not, price increases are directed by the importing companies who tell the producing companies, we'll import your whisky into these other countries, but you've got to give us flexibility with the pricing so we can come in at a reasonable price, and then as we gain traction with the brand, we'll put the prices up. And I can see that happening with Rampur right now. It'll be interesting to see where that goes. But my conclusion is there's a genuine story behind this, an authenticity, which I find fascinating. I've been meaning to review this for a while, but primarily I review Scotch whisky. And I will stick to primarily reviewing Scotch whisky. Even the more obscure bottlings, it's my scene, it's where I'm at. But to know that this brand has found its niche, it's found its hub in restaurants up and down the length and breadth of Britain, because there's so many curry houses, curry restaurants, and this is where people will first find Rampur. And they'll taste it before the curry, they'll remember it, it's a talking point, they've had it probably with a good meal, and then they'll see it, they'll say, I fancy something a little bit more exotic for the end of the year, for my birthday, and they'll end up with a bottle of this, and they will not be disappointed. I've not been disappointed. This is such exciting times. It's the explosion, the international explosion, not just in global brands available to all of us, increasingly so, but the diversity of smell and taste, signature identity and provenance in all these bottles means that the range of availability to our recent ancestors, to our parents, is tiny compared to what is just coming around the corner for all of us, wherever we are. Very exciting times, and I do offer a toast to that in this lovely little bit of Himalayan mist creeping in there. Little bit of Himalayan mist. It's lovely to see you. Thanks for watching. With time in the glass, it's getting sharper, more zesty, more honey-like, dry honey, Manuka honey. Wonderful stuff. See you soon, malt mates.